Alright guys, today I'm in my kitchen. Got my wife's kitchen cluttered up, trying to figure out this instrument panel cluster here. So I've had an issue with my 2500 truck, my 2003. Battery's been going dead. So about 2 or 3 days the battery will go dead. I did some troubleshooting with this little meter. So I hooked it up on amps, disconnected the battery on the ground side and wired this to the battery and then to the battery cable. So all the amperage flowed through here, and I see a steady 0.3 amp, 0.25 amp drain once everything starts trying to go to sleep. So I backtracked that to the IPC fuse, and then I did the same thing at the IPC fuse, pulled it out, ran the meter through the IPC fuse basically, and I get that same draw. And then I've also pulled the IPC fuse, and the truck sat for a couple days and it didn't seem to draw the battery down. So it's something either in the cluster or in the battery or a body control module, because I know this thing does talk to the body control module, and I think there is some linkage in that circuit possibly. So I want to rule that out because I don't want to spend $250 for a new cluster or send it off to be repaired and still have issues with it. So I'm going to try to power this thing up and see if it's still drawing on this meter with just the pure cluster. So let me get set up. So alright guys, this is my little setup. I don't really have the stuff to test this thing appropriately, but I'm making do with what I got. So I've got a 12 volt charger for my daughter's little riding unicorn. Got my multimeter, some alligator clips and things. And then I don't know how well it'll show. This is something I found on the internet, which is basically a pinout of this cluster. So B12 is going to be the ground and B11 is the battery positive. B10 is not used and B9 is ignition voltage. So basically B is going to be the bottom pins. It starts with 1 on the right here, works its way over to 12 on the very far left. A is the top pins as well, which we won't be using those. So right now I've got this hooked up to B12, so this is the ground. It's coming into this little charger. And on the other side of the charger I've got it hooked into my multimeter. So it goes down to the multimeter, and we'll connect reading amperage, and we'll connect to B11, which will be the battery positive. So this thing should always have 12 volts on it. And when it connects, it should read some voltage, and then after about 20 seconds, it should go to sleep. And then for B10 isn't used, B9, your ignition voltage, when you turn the key on and you power up B9, that's when the cluster gets its power and its signal to turn on. And then when you turn the key off, this B11 should always have voltage on it all the time. But for whatever reason, it doesn't want to turn off, so I'm going to see here if I can set you guys up to see what's going on here. I say something in this cluster's not right. I think something in that GoPro's not right too. We're going to do this again because I don't think it got the last video. So I'm going to power it up, see if we hear the gauges. You should see this thing go to sleep, just like it should go to 0. It should drop down below. It should drop basically completely to 0. This 1/4 amp draw is what's killing the battery. So it is definitely the cluster is causing some sort of issue. We'll do it one more time to confirm. Yep, too much amperage for what it should be doing. Alright guys, here's my little setup broken down. This little DC charger. So I got positive, negative. So to make the circuit, you just need to make the loop. So positive runs through the meter over to my negative probe. And then basically I use a little wire, multi-strand wire. I pull out a couple strands. That gives me a hole in the back of the wire that I can slip this thing over the pin. And it does. It slips over real easy. Just like so. And that gives you nice grounded protection. You got an insulated protection because the wire is insulated from the other pins. It's pretty well, you pretty well can't get an alligator clip in there. So that touches my ground, and then this comes over and I touch the positive one, constant voltage right next to it. That completes my loop through the cluster, and I can read amperage. So looks like I'll be having to buy a new cluster, as much as I don't want to. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, learned something, and like and subscribe. Check back for more.